I used to work the guest services desk for a major cruise line. One night, around 3 a.m., a woman stomped up wearing a hotel bathrobe and the expression of someone who wanted to strangle the sea itself. She slapped her hand on the marble counter and demanded a full reimbursement for her suite. Her reason? The water outside is too loud. We were days from land, in the middle of the Atlantic. I explained gently that she had booked a balcony cabin overlooking the ocean, and that the rushing sound she was hearing was real waves, not a speaker. She shrieked, "Then turn it off. It sounds like a sound machine. You control it." She honestly believed the ocean was something we could mute, like a button on a remote. She was furious that we wouldn't shut off the background noise. On all-you-can-eat crab night, I witnessed one of the most ridiculous brawls ever to happen near a buffet table. A huge guy had piled every single crab leg from the serving pan onto his plate, like a crustacean mountain, leaving nothing for the long line of people behind him. A sweet older woman calmly asked if he could spare just one. In response, he hurled a warm buttered roll at her face. Within seconds, shouting erupted, people tried to intervene, and security had to tackle the guy. While they wrestled him, he kept jamming crab legs into his cargo shorts pockets, trying to smuggle them away for later like he was preparing for an apocalypse that required seafood storage. While working on an Alaskan route, I was out on deck near the railing, admiring a glacier with guests. A man tapped my shoulder with complete seriousness and asked, "So, what elevation are we at right now?" I blinked, looked at the ocean surrounding us, and said, "Sir, we're literally at sea level." He frowned and said, annoyed, "No, I mean how far up the mountain are we floating? The water goes up the mountains, right?" He thought the ship was gliding up the side of a mountain on a water path, and the ocean had different levels, like a staircase. I worked poolside, and the lounge chair savers were the worst offenders on every sailing. One family woke up at 5 in the morning just to put towels, paperback books, and flip-flops on 12 of the best pool chairs in the front row. Then they disappeared, for 6 hours. When they finally returned around lunchtime, their hoarded chairs had been claimed by other guests who assumed they were abandoned. The dad went ballistic, throwing other people's sunscreen bottles into the pool like he was purging evidence. He threatened to sue the cruise line for stealing his property. The property being chairs he hadn't sat in since sunrise. There was one passenger who was absolutely convinced that the cruise ship wasn't really moving. He believed the company had created a giant wraparound projection, making it look like we were surrounded by open water. His plan to expose the conspiracy? He picked up a heavy patio chair and hurled it off the back of the ship, announcing he was going to hit the screen. Security immediately detained him, and he was dropped off at the next port in Mexico. The fine for throwing furniture into the ocean is beyond painful, and very, very real. At the excursion desk, a furious woman arrived demanding that the cruise line repay her for a last-minute flight she had to buy. She missed the ship when it departed from Cozumel while she was shopping. Her argument? She didn't change her watch to local time, therefore, it was our fault she was late. She insisted the ship should have waited because she was a Diamond member, even though there were over 4,000 other passengers on board. For the record, ships do not wait for anyone, not even royalty. My sister worked in the children's play area. Parents treated the place like a storage locker for offspring. One couple dropped off a toddler who was visibly ill, fever, diarrhea, and miserable. When the staff called the parents to come get him, they got no answer. 3 hours later, they found both parents passed out in the hot tub, drinks nearby. When told they needed to take the child, they said, "We paid for a vacation from him. Stop calling us," and then tried to walk away. I once saw a passenger trying to fish off his private balcony, which is forbidden for obvious reasons. Not only did he bring a full tackle box, but he had a cooler of raw bait that had been baking under the sun for days. The stench poured into nearby balconies. When security confiscated his gear, he argued that he was providing fresh seafood for the captain's dinner, and that we should be grateful for his sacrifice. One woman threw a fit at dinner because the sun wasn't setting where she expected it to. She had specifically chosen a window seat to watch the sunset, but the ship changed direction to avoid a storm. She demanded that the captain rotate the entire ship so she could see the sun dip below the horizon while she ate her dessert. She even wrote on her feedback card, "You ruined my sunset." During the mandatory safety drill, legally required before departure, a group of frat guys hid in a bathroom to avoid standing with the rest of the passengers. Security found them. They argued they were expert swimmers, and therefore didn't need to attend the briefing, as if they could outswim a sinking ship and 4,000 panicked passengers. The captain came over the loudspeaker and announced we would not depart until the gentlemen in cabin 402 decide to act like adults. The entire ship booed them. I worked in housekeeping, and you see the darkest corners of humanity there. One family of 4 stayed in a regular inside cabin, nothing fancy. For the entire 7-day cruise, they refused every attempt to clean the room. No service needed, every time. When they finally left, we opened the door and realized it should have been taped off as a crime scene. There were stacks of dirty dishes shoved under the beds, covered in mold. The worst part? They had clogged the toilet on day 2, gotten embarrassed, and instead of calling us, they decided the shower would be their new bathroom. 7 days. The room needed a hazmat cleanup and the carpet was removed like infected tissue. A guest once approached me and genuinely asked, "So, does the crew go home at night?" I thought he was joking, so I said, "Well, yes. This is our home for months." His eyes widened like I'd confessed a scandal. "So you don't get helicoptered back every evening to see your families?" He truly thought thousands of crew members were airlifted off the ship every night, flown back to their home countries, tucked their kids into bed in the Philippines or India, then flown back before sunrise to serve breakfast. Like we're part of some nightly aviation miracle. A couple who looked like they stepped straight out of a luxury magazine came into the main dining room demanding a window table. Every one of them was taken. The husband pulled out a brick of $100 bills and tried to bribe the hostess. When that didn't work, he walked over to a young couple on their honeymoon and offered to purchase their seats like this was some bizarre real estate auction. They politely declined, so the rich guy stood next to their table for their whole meal, staring at them like a villain in a financial thriller. During the port shopping presentation, a woman raised her hand to interrupt the speaker with genuine panic. Do jewelry stores in the Bahamas accept American Express from Texas? Not just American Express, but specifically a card issued to someone who lives in Texas. She seemed convinced her credit card only worked inside her home state borders. She also asked if she needed a translator for Bahamian, or if people there speak normal. You could hear the brain cells falling off chairs in the theater. A clever, or so he thought, passenger tried to sneak alcohol on board by filling mouthwash bottles with cheap vodka and a mountain of blue food coloring. He clearly didn't do test batches because on day 2, this man was walking around the pool deck with bright blue lips, teeth, and tongue, looking like he had kissed a Smurf. Security spotted him instantly because he looked like he had chewed through a bank die pack. When confronted, he tried to claim it was a rare tropical gum disease. Totally believable. Cruise toilets use a vacuum system, powerful but delicate. Someone flushed a whole turkey leg down the toilet. Not a bone, not scraps, the full drumstick. We had to shut down water to an entire deck to fix the blockage. When we traced it, the guy admitted it without shame. I didn't want the room to smell like turkey leftovers. He flushed it like it was a goldfish he no longer loved. The repair bill? Roughly $10,000. I worked in the spa. A woman booked a deep tissue massage, and from the moment I touched her, she began screaming at me for not eliminating her cellulite. She thought a massage was basically a medical liposuction procedure performed with thumbs. After 50 exhausting minutes of yelling, she demanded the manager remove my gratuity because my hands were weak, and I didn't squeeze the fat hard enough. She expected to walk out with the body of a supermodel because she paid for a massage. A woman on a Mediterranean sailing was furious she couldn't see the Eiffel Tower from the ship while we were docked in Rome. She marched to the excursion counter and accused us of lying in our brochures about European views. I had to pull out a map and show her that Paris is nowhere near the coast, and definitely not visible from Italy's port. She stared at the map as if the cartographers conspired against her and said, "Well, this map has to be wrong. I paid to see Europe." Formal night requires suits and dresses. One guy walked into the dining room dripping wet, wearing nothing but a swim trunks, no shirt, no shoes. The head waiter told him he couldn't enter like that. The man exploded and shouted about his constitutional rights to eat dinner however he pleased. The ship was flagged in Panama, in international waters. The Bill of Rights does not protect your liberty to be shirt-free while dripping on the carpet. He was shockingly offended to learn that. During a Q&A, a passenger raised her hand and asked the captain, "If the ship ever sinks, do you keep the buffet running?" The room froze. The captain paused like he needed to reboot his soul and answered gently, "Ma'am, if the ship is sinking, I promise you food will not be your top priority." She looked genuinely disappointed, as though the idea of surviving a shipwreck would be ruined by missing out on pizza.